The story of Yakuza 4 takes place about 1 year after Yakuza 3. Story-wise, Yakuza 4 is told from 4 different perspectives. We have Akiyama, a loan shark of sorts who does not charge back interest or loans, but rather puts his customers through weird tests to see if they are worthy of a loan. Next, we have Taiga Seijima, an ex-Yakuza serving a life sentence for killing 18 members from a rival clan. Then we have Tanimura, our detective cop with his own agenda. And then finally we have Kiryu Kazuma, or Kazuma Kiryu, who kind of pieces everything together. Now to me, the story of Yakuza 3 was very disappointing. It was very obvious that after Yakuza 2 that Kazuma, the main character of the previous 3 games, wasn't strong enough to carry the story anymore, as he didn't really have much of a story left to tell. Now story has always been a strong point of the Yakuza series, and I'm glad in this game they decided to add some new main characters to switch things up. Characters like Akiyama and Tanimura have such interesting backstories that I can see them having their own separate games. And also because they have 4 characters in the game, it keeps things fresh when one character's story begins to get stale. Now I don't really want to spoil much of the story because, like I said, story has always been an important part of the Yakuza series, but I would say it is an improvement over Yakuza 3 stories and fans will not be disappointed. Okay, gameplay. Now, the gameplay of Yakuza 4 is not too different from the previous titles except for a few tweaks here and there, but really the most important thing you need to know is that you are playing with 4 different characters with 4 different styles of play. Akiyama is a very up-in-your-face offensive kind of character hitting with a fast barrage of punches and kicks. While he cannot grab enemies on the floor, his taunts are some of the best in the game as they refill his heat gauge very fast. Now Seijima is more of a power hitter, hitting you with charged attacks and powerful grabs. Tanimura has the ability to parry and counter enemy attacks. He can also come onto a heat special. He doesn't have too much health, but I guess he makes up for it with his parrying skills. Now I find Kazuma is the balanced one on the set and can do a little bit of everything. In this game he is very overpowered, and not only that, his moves are very easy to level up, but you don't really get to play with him as much as like in the previous games. Now what has changed in Yakuza 4? What has really changed is the level up system and how you learn techniques. In previous games you had to level up everything from health to health gauge to anything, but now every time you gain a level in this game, your health and heat gauge automatically increases, so the only thing you have to worry about is the techniques. This game works on something called the medal system. Every time you level up you gain 3 medals. This can be used to learn new moves that vary from 1 to 5 medals. It does make the game a bit easier and streamlined, but it also makes things easier for newcomers. Besides that, gameplay hasn't changed at all. You still walk around the town talking and doing things to advance the story for side quests, and occasionally you get into fights. Okay, you get in fights a lot. The fight is still the same as the previous games, except now you play as 4 different characters. You have your light and heavy attacks, your dodge and grab buttons, and of course your heat specials, which are kind of like super moves when your blue bar gets full enough, which is also called the heat gauge. There are also so many of these moves to see and do that they are very exciting. You are still exploring Kamucho from the previous games, but this time there are no multiple cities to go to, but rather they have rooftop and underground parts to explore, which honestly are kind of lame, as there's not much for these parts. This game is divided into 5 chapters in which each character has an individual chapter, and finally in the last chapter they all come together to resolve things. Okay, for graphics and sound. Okay, look, honestly, if I show somebody right now Yakuza 3, Yakuza 4 back to back on like 2 different screens, chances are they're gonna think it's the same game, and I wouldn't blame them, as Yakuza 4 looks exactly the same as Yakuza 3, more or less. I mean, even the same time from the last game with the same graphics and locations are used. I was really hoping for some new locations but it wasn't in the card for Sega. Voice acting wise, the game is all in Japanese with subtitles only. There is no dub, and I don't think Sega wanted to pay the money, and besides, the last time they did a dub for the series, it wasn't really the best thing ever, so it's probably for the best. Music wise, they used a couple of various tracks that I think really captures the setting of the game. I mean, it's a video game. I mean, it's not like Oscar winning that soundtrack like Avatar or something like that. You know, so but for what it is, it works. So, but anyway, let's wrap this up. Overall, you know, conclusions wise, I really liked what they did in Yakuza 4, as there's so much to do and see in this game. Each character has such an interesting story, and there's so many side quests to keep you busy. If you do everything there is to do in this game, you can easily get close to 100 hours worth of game time. I had about 60 hours of playtime when I beat the game, and I didn't even do everything there was to do. I also think this was an improvement over 3, but not as good as 2, which I think is the best in the series. But I think with this game, it proves that Sega is maybe beginning to run out of ideas for the series, I think stop releasing these games one after another every year, and it shows with their new spin-off, Yakuza of the End, as they recycle the same locations, the same characters, in the same places as Yakuza 4, but it's a gunplay thing, and but besides all that nonsense, I really enjoy what was offered here. And if you're a fan of the previous games and you're a newcomer, I think it's the perfect best entry to start with, as it pretty much eases you in the game, and I highly recommend it.
悪かったの。